This is Tracy Powers. I am a relationship and life coach. I am currently working through a 40-day challenge of coming in and giving advice. Today I decided to do it in a live video format. And I have a really interesting topic for today. There's so much juice here, so much that I thought of as this came up that maybe it would need to be more than one video, but let's dive in. So the question is, how can I create better connection with my grown children? Now, this can apply to younger children as well. This can apply to any relationship. I think there's definitely some nuances that occur with older children, but it's applicable advice across all relationships. And I think this dynamic is a very interesting one because we come out of roles from a parent-child. We come out of needed kind of hierarchy or teacher or mentor, and as that ages shift, the roles shift, and what can we do to have a good relationship, to have a better connection, and begin to move outside of or expand beyond just the role of parent-child. So the first item I have for today is to meet them where they are at. So this can really happen with any age child. There is an age discrepancy, and sometimes we forget. We're so kind of fast-tracked on our own life or our own experience that having a relationship with someone who's in a different age, different category, different generation is very different than your own personal experience. And so many parents, especially say with teenagers or younger children, can get frustrated because they don't quite, they're applying how they would respond or how they would react to someone who doesn't have a fully formed brain, who doesn't have quite the executive functioning skills, that doesn't have that prefrontal cortex established and grown yet, that can make those better choices. And so we almost have to remember that they're just not us, which is such an important element in this dynamic and in any relationship. We tend to put our feelings, our experiences on someone else and think about how they are acting differently than how we would act or how what we think is right. And they have a completely different life experience background than we do, and they will make different choices. That's why it's so important to be a safe space. So if you want to connect deeply with someone, let's just remember that key to the depth of connection is the presence of authenticity. And if someone doesn't feel safe to be themselves, then the depth of relationship is limited in what you can create together. So being someone that they feel they can let their guard down, that they feel they can be themselves, will be key to establishing that better connection. So along with that, I find this really important element of curiosity. Curiosity with ourselves, curiosity with other people. It is a value, an element that can go so far. Remembering that, again, this is a different person. This is a different human. We may think we know them. We raised them. We have seen their entire life. We created them. We may think we know them, but we don't. They're not us. They are a completely different human being. And I think it's really important for parents to remember that they are a human being with a total different body and soul. And no matter what the connection is that you have, they aren't a science project. They aren't something you just crafted and modeled in the way that you raised them and made them into a human. You had influence for sure, but they came into this world to have their own experience. And the more you can detach yourself from who they are, who you think they are, and just stay really curious about who they really are, and don't apply that, never apply that you think you know them better than they do. They have such sovereignty and they do know themselves better than you do because you haven't been through there for every moment. And luckily, if you have applied this curiosity and if you have left a lot of doors open, then they have been able to tell you who they are. And then you've gotten to know them through that lens versus through the judgment that you already have applied to them. So by staying constantly curious, they feel that open door. They feel that comfort to explore and try on different things of who they are as they grow. And that really creates a sense of safety, once again, being that safe place. So let go of the idea that you completely know them, and really you have the whole rest of your life to get to know them as they evolve and change, and allow that curiosity to constantly be there so they get to be a surprise. They get to shift and change, and they know that you are there through it all. And one part of curiosity, one thing that I have found as a parent, I'm coming at this from both angles. How has connection shifted with my own parents? How do I see it happen through clients and friends? And then how do I gain connection with my children as things shift and change? And asking really good questions in any relationship can create really beautiful, beautiful connections. And these are open-ended questions with no kind of predestined idea. One time, many times, just having connections, especially with my stepchildren and growing a blended family, to ask some really cool questions that I have no attachment to the answer. I just want to know them as a person, what lights them up, where do they see themselves, what might we get wrong about them that they want us to know about them. That isn't just, what do you think you're going to do? Or who do you think you should be? But just really deep, expanding questions with totally open answers. They can go anywhere. That skill of listening too can build so much connection. So next, I want to bring in a different element, which is finding common ground. So I just recently was with my two daughters down in Southern California, and my daughter was out surfing, and I had surfed with her the day before, but it was February, it was stormy, and it was freezing. So the second day I was sitting there watching her, and this gentleman came up and began talking to me on the beach. And when she came to the water, he talked to her about surfing. And he's an older gentleman, and he was saying that he just bought his son a surfboard for his birthday, and that has been one thing that they have been able to do together as an activity their entire lives. So you may think your kids, once again, meeting them where they're at, being curious, you may think you know your kids and their interests, and you may think that they can share your interests, but if you really get to know them and you find the things that they're interested in, you still have an opportunity to grow no matter what age you're at, to try something new. And maybe there's something that you can both do together. Like this gentleman was saying with his son, that is something that they've been able to have their entire lifetime, to share that thing. I just find that beautiful, and it's not about one person or the other. It's something that they can both share. So finding and trying new things to find that thing that you can always have as a touchstone for your relationship. Now this next one goes a little deeper, and that is acceptance. Now that's something we can all take a minute to sink into, because for me, I find that love is acceptance. So many times parents feel like they're shifting or trying to get their kid to, they feel their job is to make their kid into a good human. And their child, their entire life, has been modulating to get the praise, to get the accolades, to get the attention of their parents. That they have been shifting and changing just to get that. Maybe then they rebel against that at another age. But really, what the dream is to just be totally accepted for who you are. And parents find that they need to be in this situation of raising this good human that involves judgment and criticism. And when someone feels that their behaviors are being scrutinized, that they are being judged or they are being looked at critically, it's very hard to feel that unconditional love. And when that unconditional love is there, when people feel they can once again be authentic, but also just drop into who they are and feel safe, and that they don't have to modulate, that they don't have to change or shift who they are to get that attention, that it is just there unconditionally, no matter what, that will grow how often they want to be with you, how often they want to connect with you, because they feel accepted just for who they are. Now, this next one is about, as we move from there, people may say, okay, if I totally accept them, what if there's something that I don't quite agree with, right? And that would be, it's key to also have boundaries. Now, I wouldn't put anything that feels like possibly judgment and create a boundary around it. But it is important, especially within the parent-child dynamic. Parents spend a lot of time making sacrifices for their children. And as children grow up, you may still be in this dynamic of continually making sacrifices and sacrificing yourself. And you may not have very strong boundaries around how you want to be spoken to, or how you want to structure your time, and kids need to feel safe within what's okay, what's not okay, how they can relate to you, how they can speak to you. Boundaries are just like such a rich topic. It's hard to dive into it very deeply, as we have a lot of other points here. But we want to create a container in which we feel safe to express what's okay and what's not okay, so we don't build up resentments, so we can feel appreciated, and that can be really a two-way street. So I would say also honor their boundaries as they establish it. There is no try to stay out of the realm of duty or obligation. If you want a deep relationship with your children moving forward, you want them to do that on their own, because they have that connection with you, not just out of duty or obligation. So I'd also say, along with establishing your boundaries and keeping them in kind, loving, and firm ways and consistent ways, it's about working on your own healthy relationships and dynamics in yourself. So if you find yourself constantly being triggered in your connections or your communications with your children, it's a place to really look at, okay, this is me. This is what keeps coming up for me. What wounding might I have around this, or what needs are not getting met, or what boundaries are being crossed. Why am I continually maybe lashing out or giving them the cold shoulder or withdrawing? How can I be a better, healthier human on my own and have therefore show up in healthy ways in relationship? So sometimes it takes really looking at your own things and being willing to try new things and break out of old patterns, so that the healthier you are, the healthier relationship and connection you can create with them. Which leads to the last point I'll share here today, which is repair. So repair is huge. I've talked to a lot of younger adults who are working through, as they hit this stage of development and as they are working on paying back through their past and kind of realizing things about their childhood, they may want to go talk to their parent about it. And the type of response they get can be very difficult to wade through. There's a few responses that just aren't satisfactory. Sometimes a lot of parents become dismissive and they say, well, I just did the best I could. And they don't acknowledge that even if it was the best they could do, that it still hurt and there was still a pain for someone else. And just acknowledging, validating, and apologizing without an over, gosh, that's the other mistake I see being made. Like, oh, I'm so awful, I'm so sorry. And then the child then needs to comfort their parent for that, within that reaction. So while they're going there for healing, now they have to provide it for someone else. So those are a few categories to really look out for. But really taking the time to do the repair. And in any moment, I've tried this so much with my kids, and what it teaches them to do is to then also repair and be able to make mistakes too. Like, I'm sorry, I just really lost my patience. That's one I say all the time. So that they know no one's perfect, and when we make mistakes, we just give a simple apology and we can move on. And research has shown that it isn't about being a perfect parent, that we screw up a lot of the time, but what matters is making the repair. So meet them where they're at, be a safe space for them with curiosity, where they can be themselves and be authentic and change and grow. And you're asking great questions, you're listening, you find common ground of things you can share together. You accept them just as they are, without judgment, without criticism. You provide that unconditional love that they are searching for. You work on being healthy yourself, change any patterns of behavior that aren't healthy, and you make repair as needed. So I have a few more ideas on this topic. That's as much as I could fit in there. This works across many relationships. I hope it was helpful for you. Once again, boundaries too. Once again, if anything you want to dive a little deeper into or talk about how this could apply to you, I'm happy to connect with a little chat for free. And then if you feel like there's some more coaching I can provide, we can talk about that as well. And if you find this interesting or you want to talk about it with your child, share this video, and I hope that was helpful. I'll be back again with more advice as I go through my 40-day challenge. If there's any topic that you would like me to address, any direct question, I would love for you to join me and be a part of this, and just submit it. It's completely confidential. No details really needed. And thank you for being here. Thank you for being the type of person who wants to connect more deeply and be a better human and bring more love into this world.